In order to manifest in the physical world, we have to know what's happening in the invisible world, because the invisible creates the visible. What we want to do is to open a pathway, if you will, or open the gaps in our model between the seen and the unseen, the visible and the invisible. And in order to do that, we have to know exactly how everything is created. And this process can be applied to wealth or anything else. At the next level of awareness, the level of awakening, you begin to get a hint that, you can create the things that you want in your life. Quantum physics shows us that there is a field of energy that connects everything, and we're calling that on our model source energy. But you could look at this as pure positive energy or as a quantum incubator of possibilities. The key to mastering this energy is to 1, know that it exists. 2, understand how it works. And 3, speak the language that it recognizes. Creative thought responds to human thought and human energy. The ability to manage our thoughts and emotions is really the key that stands between us attracting anything that we want in our life. Now, we come into this time-space reality, as we talked about before, because it's a world of contrasts. In a world of contrasts, what happens is it helps you to see what you don't want. By experiencing and seeing what you don't want, that helps you to decide what you do want. That's the purpose of contrast. In other words, you can't know love without hate. You can't know poverty. You can't know wealth without poverty. You can't know sickness without health. Everything has its opposite. So contrast helps you to identify what you desire. When you see what you don't want, a preference is born within inside of you, or a desire for what you do want. When that happens, source energy immediately aligns with that desire and sets forth to bring that to you. Now, it's important to understand and keep in mind that you don't have to eliminate what you don't want. Many people spend a lot of time pushing against the things that they don't want in life. They have protests. They join organizations to fight for their cause. They go to online discussion groups so they can talk about the problem. But what do all these things have in common? All these things have in common is they're pushing against or trying to eliminate the things that they don't want in life. They're using the law of attraction in reverse. Now, most of us have heard about the law of attraction. There's been a lot of information about that lately. And what law of attraction simply means is that like energy attracts like energy. And when you come to a conclusion about something, about what you desire, the law of attraction responds to that energy or that vibration of your thought and feelings. And when this happens, source energy always says yes. Source energy never says no. The old beliefs we had, where you asked for things and sometimes you got them and sometimes you didn't. As though there were, a universe that decided one day you should have it and the next day you shouldn't. That doesn't work that way. Source energy always says yes. Now, as soon as that happens, your non-physical self lines up with your desire. And when the law of attraction responds to it, then there's an energy that's pulling toward your desire. There's really a literal current that's bringing it toward you. Now, your physical self plays a big part in this because it's the one that launches the desire. Then source energy lines up, says yes. Source energy says yes, lines up with it, and you attract what you match vibrationally. So this is important. As you create this match vibrationally, your physical self must allow it to manifest. In other words, this means releasing all resistance. Now, what do I mean by resistance? Resistance comes in many forms. It comes in doubt, like, I'm not sure I really want this. So you're not really sure that you want it, you're just going after it. Maybe I'm not worthy of it. What if I can't do this? And some of us in here gave those examples before. Or impatience. I asked for it last week. Why isn't it here? Or judgment, or criticizing anything or anyone. Anytime you judge, criticize anything or anyone, oh, look, they have that nice house, I'm living in this crummy house. They have a nice car, I don't have a nice car. They have they have a job, I don't have a job. Anytime we criticize, anytime we judge, we not only close the gaps, but we set up what? Resistance. Resistance, resistance, resistance. That's what's going on in our lives. So any type of resistance is a gap closer. And it closes the gaps between your desire and the ability to have that desire flow to you. So through your beliefs about who you are, what you should have, what you shouldn't have, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, we create all these doubts in our life, and we keep that flow from manifesting the things that we desire. Now, most of you, I'm sure, have seen or read the book, The Secret. Everybody here read that? And it had as its basic premise the law of attraction. And regardless of the controversial reactions to it, it did bring the public's attention to intentional, or what we're calling deliberate creation. And so it doesn't really matter where you first heard about it. The bottom line is the law of attraction does work. It's there. It's a universal law. You can't get around it. Now, to understand it on a more practical level, we have to know that we're 99% empty space. We're basically pure energy. And this energy has a specific characteristic. And if we understand it, then we can use it to create a life easily and effortlessly. More easily than effortlessly than you even thought possible. So we have the power to use this law of attraction to our advantage or our disadvantage. We have the power to use it consciously, or we have the power to use it unconsciously. We make that choice. Now, we have many expressions for the law of attraction. One is, what goes around comes around. You've heard that one. What's another one that actually says the same thing?
What you sow, you reap.
What you sow, you reap. Exactly. What's another one?
Like attracts like.
Like attracts like. What else? I think you said that. One of rich get richer, the poor get poorer. That's the law of attraction. Be careful what you ask for, because you might just get it, right? Birds of a feather flock together, right? It's all about the law of attraction. A lot of people don't really know about the law of attraction. They can't articulate it, but they're really living it. So what we're saying is simply this. All energy vibrates, and it vibrates at a specific and unique vibration, including your thoughts. So we're talking about like attracts like. Now, when I teach the law of attraction and I say like attracts like, you always get someone will say, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. I studied science, and science says opposites attract, right? This makes no sense. We're not talking about batteries, okay? We're talking about frequency, okay? Like frequency attracts like frequency, okay? So when two vibrations are in what we call a vibrational match, they attract each other. So every thought and feeling that we have has a corresponding vibration. And it's resonating out into the universe at a specific frequency, looking for its match. It's like watching TV. If you want to watch something on channel 6, that's a vibrational frequency coming into your TV set, right? In order to watch the program on channel 6, where do you have to be tuned into? This is a hard one. Channel 6, right? You have to be tuned into channel 6. Now, you can sit there and bitch and complain all day long that you can't see what you want that's on channel 8, right? And that's what most people do. Their whole lives are about complaining that they want what's on channel 8, but they're sitting in front of channel 6 because that's their vibrational match. In order to get what you want on channel 8, you've got to turn it over to channel 8. So you're always moving that dial. And we're always trying to match that energy. Everything that's in our life is because we're matching energy. We're tuned in, if you will, to that channel. The universe does not recognize no. The universe, again, never says no. This is why it's critical to focus on what you want, because what you want expands, expands and expands and expands. So whatever you're focusing on is going to continue to expand in your life. If you notice that what you focus on, you get more of, and you wonder, why is this happening to me? Because it's always expanding. That's the energy. You keep sending it out, it says, I'll give you more. And it works both ways. If you're focused on what you want and your energy is in alignment, you're going to get more of that too. That is why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Real simple explanation. Because the poor are focused on what? There's not enough, and they keep expanding, expanding, and expanding, more of not enough. A lot of people say that they want to be rich. And I've interviewed people, and people write to me, and they say, I want to be rich. I want to be wealthy. Your program helped me to be wealthy. But when I really boil it down, especially when I'm consulting or counseling with people, very few people want to be rich. Do you know what they really want? They don't want to be broke. That's their true goal in life. Everybody will tell you they want to be rich, but they're lying. Their fear is they don't want to be broke. So their energy is not on how they can increase abundance in their life. What's their energy on? How they don't lose what they have, the fear of being broke. And what happens then? Vibrational match, right? What's the operative word in that sentence? Broke, right? So they'll find every circumstance and condition that will bring them broke. And then they drop back into that victim level again. Another is like focusing on losing what you have, losing your money. That's a command for the universe. That was a big one for me. I had this fear of losing what I had. And I was good at getting it, but I couldn't keep it. I couldn't understand that. I went to a psychic once when I was young, and she says, you'll always make money. She never told me about the other part, that I was going to lose it. So it was like I'd make it, I'd lose it. I'd make it, I'd lose it. I'd make it, and I couldn't figure that out, because why? My fear was on losing the money. But I would tell everybody that, my energy was on earning the money, making the money. Well, that's not true. So I had to change that belief system. It's like if you're a person that believes that and you get in a relationship, your mate always leaves you, right? You always get hooked up with the leavers. So you could go into a room with 500 people. There'd be one lever in there. You would walk into the room, and guess who you find? You would find the one person that will leave you, right? You will get in a relationship with that person, they'll leave you, and then you say what? I'm right, see? They always leave me. Because why? Your energy goes towards the thing that you're focusing on. So you're not even going to notice the 499 other people in the room. So by focusing what you don't want, basically what you're doing is you're using the law of attraction in reverse. Ernest Holmes minces no words when he says, your word destroys everything unlike itself. Your word destroys everything unlike itself. And this is where you can be grateful that there's a time delay between cause and effect. Can you imagine if there was no time delay between cause and effect? You think it, boom, there it is. I'm like, holy smoke, at least the time delay gives you a chance to fill in the gap. Another key point is that your thoughts about what you desire need to be in alignment with your core beliefs. You can't slap a positive thought on a negative belief. It's like trying to put whipped cream on a mud cake. Looks good. You cut through it, what do you got? You got mud underneath there. So our deepest and mostly unconscious beliefs, they become the blueprint for everything that we create in our lives. And 2,000 years ago, Jesus said, it is done unto you as you believe. The problem is that people have all kinds of beliefs about what they think is possible and what they think is necessary to create what they want in their lives. Your core beliefs create something called your story. Now, I tell my clients, give me 5 minutes with you, and I will predict your future with 100% accuracy. Just 5 minutes with you, and I will predict your future with 100% accuracy. Now, how can I do that? Am I psychic? No. All I have to do is identify your story. I just listened to your story, and I know where you're going. And until you change your story, you're stuck. Now, we all have personal stories, and they're ingrained in our subconscious minds. Our story, more than anything else in life, determines our future. And we're great storytellers. We love to tell stories about ourselves, especially our interpretation of events and people. Our story of not having enough or not being able to create abundance is just one of the many stories that we tell ourselves. We have money stories. We have relationship stories. We have health stories. We have how the world treats us stories. We have stories of right, wrong, good, bad, past failures. We love stories, okay? And we got lots of them. Our stories are really a way of protecting ourselves. It allows us to make excuses for having the life that we have. So you tell your story, which is really your excuse for why your life is the way it is. And it goes something like this. If after all, if it weren't for that person, or it weren't for that my past, or it weren't for these current circumstances that I'm in, or the government, I would be rich, I'd be happy, I'd be successful. But I don't have those things. And I don't have those things because what? Here's why. Now you fill in your story. So you complain about the things you don't have, and then you put your story in there. The problem is, our stories make us right, but they don't get us what we want. So all you do is get to be right one more time. I remember when I had a hypnosis practice, people would come to me, and they'd sit down in front of me, and they'd start with their story. And I'd go, stop. And they go, what? I say, stop. I don't want to hear your story. And they look so depressed. You know, like, wait a minute, I tell this to everybody. Don't you want to hear what's wrong with me? No, I don't care. And you don't want to hear my story? And they don't call it a story, but they start again. They want to explain. I say, I don't care. I don't want to hear it. And I say, all I want you to do is tell me, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go from here today? I don't want to hear your story. I said, I had very good success with hypnosis. I would never let people come more than 3 times. And that was a long time. And I would say to them, if you don't do what I tell you to do, don't even bother coming. As a matter of fact, if you're not going to do what I tell you to do, put the check in an envelope and slip it under the door and don't even show up. In other words, you're going to waste my time and your time, right? Why should we work when I can just get the money and just take it from under the door? So they'd say, well, okay, I guess I better show up. So we have all these stories. The problem is that our stories or our illusions often seem very real to us. I mean, we really believe they're true. And I'm here to tell you that most of our stories are lies. It's not your story that's the problem. It's your unexamined negative story that creates the problem. So listen up. It's the unexamined stories we're talking about, the ones we really haven't found out if we're telling the truth or not. See, everything exists in our lives because we believe it's true, and these are our unexamined stories. Our core beliefs make up our stories. See, the most important thing you can do is to look at your beliefs and see how they control your life, because most of them are hidden from our awareness. To put it simply, if you don't have what you want in life, you have to change your story. It's that simple. In other words, look at your story. There aren't good stories and bad stories. There are just stories. They either work for you, get you what you want, or they don't work for you. And I tell that to people about positive and negative thinking. There is no positive thinking and negative thinking. There's just thinking that gets you what you want or thinking that doesn't get you what you want. You can label it anything you want, but that's really what's going on. So this program is about helping you to change and kind of upgrade your story, if you will, to make sure that they're in alignment with what you desire. We talked earlier that most people's story is about struggle. And you see this, as Linda explained, on the victim level, how this plays out. You know, we have few or any models in our lives that demonstrate that that's not true. I mean, most people subscribe to struggle. And we have very few people that we take as a model that say, no, that's not true. We reward people for creating in reverse. In fact, the more people struggle, we build monuments to people that struggle. Okay? We build monuments, and the more they struggle, the bigger the monument. Right? And you go on TV and you see these people on there and they're going, oh, I had this problem and I did this and I'm okay now. They pull themselves up. I had this terrible, my business failed, I lost my money, I got sick, whatever it is. And they give you this story of struggle. You never see anyone getting on there going, I just opened the gaps and it all worked out. They throw them off the TV set. Well, that's not an interesting story. I'd like to see stories of people that don't struggle, to get up there and say, all I did is align myself. I mean, it's so simple. All I did is align myself. I gave up the struggle. Wouldn't it be nice to see someone get up there, give a story? I gave up the struggle. My life worked. At least that would get people interested. Well, gee, he did it. I could do it. But no, people love struggle stories because why? They're struggling. You see, that's your life up there. Oh, okay, he's struggling. I'm struggling too. Okay, I know how that works. So you're in sync with that person. But as soon as that person gets up there and says they're not struggling, you don't like that person because your life is about struggle. So we're conditioned to struggle, and unfortunately, struggle seems natural. That's the problem. It's natural. So my point is, you don't have to accept the story of the struggle of illusion as the truth. It's just simply a belief. And if that belief runs through you, it affects your vibration, it affects your frequency, and it affects what you attract in your life. So you have to examine your unconscious stories. My father went through the Great Depression, and it was a terrible time for him. And he came from an Italian immigrant family, and they lived near a railroad track. They had no money during the Depression because my parents lost all their savings they had them in the bank, the banks closed down. So they had no money. So my father used to have to go down to the train yard where the trains come in, and you know how they come in, they rattle like this, and they're rolling on the tracks, and the coal would fall off the train. And he would come and pick up the coal and put it in a bag, take it home to heat the house because they were living on the East Coast and it was very cold. And he was traumatized by that. My father eventually became very successful financially, but he lived the Great Depression to the day he died. My father was broke the day he died with a lot of money in the bank. Because why? That's his story. That was his story. He always had the story of struggle. I'm going to lose it. And that's why I picked up that the same belief I talked earlier about, that I had that belief that I was going to lose what I have. That's where I picked it up from my father. I didn't realize that till later on. But that was the story he told me. And it gets hidden underneath there, and you don't really think it's working. And then all of a sudden things come up, and it's like, well, I'm going to lose what I have. My father lost everything. Then I'm going out, earning money, doing well, and that core belief is running underneath, and then I have to lose it. I have to lose it. It's my story. Okay? So then I get to be right one more time, and until I want to break that story. So our feelings and our emotions are really the inner language that we use to change our world. We call this the attractor factor, and it starts at the level of emotions. Here's a good one for you. If you stick to your story will stick to you. So think about that. The attractor factor, as I said, begins at the level of emotions. When you change how you feel, then you change your frequency. That's how you change your frequency. Now, a lot has been written about, changing our thoughts, our words. But here's what you need to know. It's less about the words you use and the thoughts you have. It's more about the feelings that are generated from those words or thoughts. A lot of people just, they have negative thinking, but that's not really what does it. It's the emotion that's generated from the thoughts. The language of feeling and emotion is what activates the law of attraction. Not just thoughts, feelings and emotion. It moves the quantum forces of the universe, if you will. And it's what the quantum field of possibilities recognizes. It recognizes thoughts and emotions. And to help you understand how important feelings are, we can call on science. Research has been done by an organization called HeartMath. And they studied the feelings of what it does to our heart. The electromagnetic field of your heart can actually be detected 5 feet from your body. It's been shown that positive emotions affect the heart rhythms, creating a smooth, orderly pattern that in turn affects the electromagnetic field that is radiated. What are called coherent heart rhythms have a profound effect on the body's physical health and our interactions with each other. So coherent heart rhythms are essential for everyone's life peak performance. I'm sure you know how rhythm is important to athletes and to dancers and to musicians. Listen to this. Negative attitudes literally disrupt the heart's rhythms. Any negative emotion creates an incoherent heart rhythm. If maintained over time, causes things to go wrong in your life due to the strong, incoherent vibration of those feelings. It's also been shown that the heart's field may be linked to more subtle energetic fields that contain information on objects and events remote in time and remote in space and ahead in time. In other words, just below our conscious awareness is a subtle energetic system that we can tap into to help ourselves stay in alignment. So this is one possible explanation for the law of attraction. There it is on a scientific level. The large electromagnetic field of the heart is tuned into other people. So we're always sending this energy out. Okay, so your feelings operate in another way as well. Here's why your feelings are so important. They are your guide to where you are in the co-creative process. Your feelings will tell you at any point where you are. How does this work? Anytime you feel negative emotion, any negative emotion, you're out of alignment. And it's important, your gaps are closing. Any negative emotion. It's important to shift towards a better feeling. This is what we want to do. And you simply do this by choosing something that makes you feel better. Real simple. Not a positive thought. Anything that makes you feel better. You want to break the energy. That energy is going out, you feel bad, you're focusing on it. The thing you have to do in that moment is to change the energy. Negative emotion always is an indicator of resistance. But here's the payoff for you. If you pick a thought that makes you feel better, you lower your resistance automatically. You don't even have to consciously lower your resistance. And when you do that, and you pick a better feeling thought, it opens the gap in the power model again when they were closed. So that feel better thought is what we're looking for. And you do it until you start to feel positive emotion. Just all you have to do is start feeling it. And it puts you in an energetic place, if you will, to attract whatever it is that you desire. Now, we've talked a lot about resistance, but if you think about it, all negative emotion in life is resistance to what is. All negative emotion, I'll repeat that, is a resistance to what is. The only time we're in resistance is we're fighting what is. Anybody got an example of that? How we fight what is? How about an easy one? I'll start you off. Traffic. Right? That's what is. But we set up negative emotion. What else? What's that? Weather. Yeah, we fight weather. You can't fight it. That's the way that it is. Or people. That's the way they are. Right? You can't change people. They have to change, as you know, from the inside out. But all the things that we are so upset about and have all this resistance about is really about not accepting what is. So what we want to do is just choose a better feeling thought. The whole idea is until you're feeling positive emotion, you're going to be out of alignment. And that's all we're doing is just aligning ourselves with a better feeling thought. Now, the secret to getting this all to work and our ability to feel our desire is we have to know that whatever it is that we want is already accomplished. Now, this is a hard concept for people to accept. I tell people, just accept what you want is already accomplished. And they can't see that. It just makes no sense because their life is not the way they want it. But in effect, your prayers have been answered because you answer your own prayers. No one's answering your prayers. You are answering your own prayers through your own thoughts. You create that in your own life. Call this the quantum field of possibilities. The reason that we can expect things to happen in our life is because this quantum incubator or this energy field is a field of infinite possibilities. In other words, no matter what we choose to create, there are unlimited possible outcomes. We get into trouble when we focus on one outcome. In other words, there are alternate realities, alternate scenarios, circumstances and people that we can create from, and we don't have to just settle for what's there. If you ever bought a game, a computer game, it comes on a CD. You put the CD in, and you play the game. You know, the guys are shooting and everything. All right, and I shoot this guy, and he falls down and he dies. Well, how does the computer know that? How did it know I was going to hit him and not him? The computer knows that because all the possible outcomes are programmed on the CD. This is the way life is. All the possible outcomes are in the field of possibilities. And then we choose the outcome. So we're not stuck with one outcome. Just like on the CD, it doesn't have to be the same thing all the time. The programmer puts the different outcomes there. So we speak to this quantum field of possibilities through our feelings and our belief, and it answers us through the events in our life. So the question always becomes, what outcome are we going to choose? We just get to choose the one we want. But we first have to acknowledge this, that we can make a choice. You can't choose an outcome till you make up your mind that you have that possibility of making a choice. And that's what I'm trying to get across to you. It's most important to understand that the outcome you're experiencing now is not the only outcome that's available to you. You've got all these possibilities. But not knowing you have a choice, you think you're stuck. What we understand now is that what we think, we create, and all we have to do is just decide how we're going to do it. And the answer begins, look beyond the illusion and focus in the present moment. Look beyond our past experiences and just choose another possibility. All we can do is choose another possibility in the moment, and it will create that. So that's why most people are stuck in their lives, because they don't change their point of focus. All we have to do, change our point of focus, choose a different outcome. You're never stuck as long as you're able to change your point of focus. Never. Change your point of focus, have a different outcome. Choose a different possible outcome, but you can't just think about it, and you can't just wish for it. Example, it's not enough to think about riches are going to flow in your life, and read a book. That's positive thinking. We have to go deeper. Understand it's an unformed possibility, riches, for all of us in this room, and it already exists in that non-physical. Remember I talked about the physical, non-physical? Okay, that dimension, it already exists. And this is perhaps the greatest obstacle that people have. They say, when I see it, I'll believe it. The universe doesn't work that way. The universe says, you have to believe it, and then it'll show up in your life. But everyone's doing it in reverse. We also tend to put a level of difficulty on the things that we manifest. In other words, we put the magnitude, like, oh, this is a real tough thing. There's no way I could do this, but I could see doing this. The universe doesn't understand difficult, hard, not available. It doesn't understand that language. Again, what keeps poor people poor is they only can see the same possibility all the time. And this is what keeps them stuck at the victim level. So what we have to know is that we are part of the outcome. And all we have to do is stop thinking, stop wishing, stop hoping, and accept without doubt the law of attraction will bring us what we want. And it's like breathing air. You don't think every minute, oh, am I going to get another breath? Another breath? You just breathe, don't you? Don't you trust that it's going to breathe? Of course you do. You don't think about it. That's the way this works. Here's what I tell people. When you're manifesting in life and you're using these processes, if things show up in your life and you're surprised, you haven't got it yet. In other words, I create this, I put it out into the universe. If it doesn't show up in my life, I'm very surprised. Okay? I know that it's going to be there. You know why? Because I give thanks that it's already there. That's what gratitude is about. Giving thanks that it's already there. Gratitude is the energy that the universe, the field of possibilities recognize. And remember, everything exists in this quantum field of possibilities. You know, it's told, ask, it says, ask and you shall receive. Before you ask, it is given unto you. The operative words are, before you ask, it'll be given unto you. My Bible doesn't say, beg and plead, and you shall receive. Okay, and if it does in your Bible, then, I don't know where you got that one from. Another form of resistance are how things are going to show up in our life. See, the quantum field of possibilities doesn't operate that way. It's going to bring many, many different ways for it to show up in our lives. In other words, we don't want to be attached to the outcome. This is one of the things that I've learned and practiced, and it's just so powerful, is that detaching yourself from the outcome. This is so hard for a lot of people to do because they don't trust that it works. Now, they'll drive down a freeway with people going 75 miles an hour this way, and they'll trust that person won't come over and kill them, right? But they can't trust that the universe will bring them what they want. That's too difficult. But they'll trust this moron who's driving in a car isn't going to crash into them. When you drive at night, your headlights only go 200 feet. So if you drive at night from California to New York, you can only see 200 feet at a time. Do you trust that? Or do you get out of your car every 200 feet and check out the other 200 feet? You don't do that. You just turn the lights on and you go, okay, well, that looks good, and you keep going. You trust that 200 feet. Trust the universe, can't be bothered, right? It's too difficult. It's amazing how our mind works. So we just have to let go of any judgment of what we think should or shouldn't happen. Someone once asked me, what's the hardest part about creating what you want? And my reply is learning to stop figuring out how you're going to get it. People say, well, how do you use this? Well, the number one rule is you got to stop learning how you're going to get it. If you try to figure out how you're going to get anything in life, you are limited to what's inside that circle, that subconscious mind. So the law of attraction is about bringing your desire to you. You don't have to rush towards it. It will come to you. And when you do that, something even better, usually that's what happens to me, something even better can happen to you because you're not attached to the outcome. It's like, if you go to a shopping mall, you see the thing in the shopping mall, right? The dot, you are here. Doesn't that scare you? How the hell do they know where you are all the time? They're following you around. You are here. You go to the next place. You are here. And that's really pretty much what life is about. You are here. And then you have a dot over here. You want to go to that dot, right? So you want to go from this dot to that dot. And that's what life's about, going from the dot to the dot. Now, most of us got to figure out all these strategies and how we're going to get to the dot. Okay, we read all the books. We study, because if I learn enough, I can go from this dot to this dot. But the way I look at it is, if I am focused where I am in the moment, at this dot, I automatically get to that dot. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, about how to get to where you want to go. But all I do is I focus in the moment. And then I take the next logical step, the next logical step, and I'm to that dot. And the thing is, a lot of times, it takes me to some place that I didn't even think I was going to go. A lot of times we take a trip and we get so fixated. But, you don't have to get fixated. All you do is just kind of go slowly towards that, to that area. When you're in the mall, you don't stress out. Am I going to get to the dot? Am I going to get over there? What's going to happen? What will I have to face? What will I have to overcome? What will I have to do? You get in the mall, you walk in, you say, I got to get to that dot, and you start walking, right? And half the time you don't get there. You want to buy a pair of shoes, the nice pair of shoes, halfway there, you buy them, you go home. Not in life. We got to stress out. I'm going to get to that dot no matter what. Well, all you have to do is just to give up the resistance. And that's the way the law of attraction works. Now, many people teach this idea of focusing on the end result and defining the goal. But I don't think we have to do that. I think all we have to do is be in the moment. And when you're in the moment, you'll be in the next moment. When you're in the next moment, you'll be in the next moment. That's all there really is to it. So the summary of the conscious creation process is this. 1, through contrast of the physical world, we choose our desire. 2, source energy lines up with the desire, and our preferences start, and it immediately says yes. Then we just align our thoughts and our feelings with our desire, and your job is to get the physical you in alignment, open the gaps. And that's done by what? Putting yourself in a positive feeling place as it relates to what you want. Release attachment. Release attachment. Train yourself to be unattached to the outcome. And when you do that, it always creates the best possible outcome. Always. Finally, allow. Release the work. You don't have to do the work. It's not that difficult. Release how it's going to come to you and live in a state of allowing. Now that sounds simple, doesn't it? It is simple when you're not at the lower levels. When you're at the lower levels, it seems very difficult. Those who are stuck in efforting and struggle can't see this possibility. To them, it's too easy. So they dismiss it as not being real. When you're in that struggle, it's like, that doesn't make sense. It's New Age thinking, metaphysical nonsense. And they live with that under scarcity, and of course the illusion of scarcity, I should say, and they never have enough. They get to be right, but they don't have what they want. So remember, you can literally create anything you want through the law of attraction. It doesn't know anything about big or small, hard or difficult. All that counts is how you feel, what you're willing to focus on, what you're willing to accept, how in alignment you are, and that's it. Let me ask you an important question. How much money do you want? Well, that's a loaded question, isn't it? How much money do you want? And just come up with a figure in your mind just for a second. All right, now that you have that figure, I'm proposing that you don't want the money. And you're saying, what? I don't want the money? What you really want is how you're going to feel as a result of having the money. This is important. Pay attention. This is a major distinction, a very important one. And I want you to think about this. Is money really the end goal for people? No. Some people will tell you that it is, but if you think about it, it's never the end goal. Money is never the end goal. The real goal is what? What you're going to do with the money. So whatever you do in life, you do it in anticipation of how it's going to make you feel. It's not about the money. It's how you're going to feel as the result of spending the money. In other words, your hidden and your true motivation is not about making money or the money that you're after. It's about the feeling. It's always about the feeling. You're after what it will buy you. That creates the feeling. Being very clear on this feeling that you're going after will accelerate results in every area of your life, including having abundance. It's always about how you want to feel. The car, like people buy an expensive car. Why do they buy an expensive car? Oh, they'll tell you it's safe and all that nonsense. Most cars are safe today. Why do they buy an expensive car? They buy an expensive car because of how it makes them feel. That's what that's all about. And of course, the people that sell them know this. So it's always about, again, how you feel. And to the extent that you can get that feeling going in you, you can raise your attraction frequency. By having the feeling now and not waiting till you get what you want, you're raising your attraction frequency. You don't have to wait. But remember, you're not after the money, you're after the feeling. Feelings are always an indication that you're in or out of alignment. We talked about that before. Bad feelings out, good feelings you're in. And it's a very, very simple concept. And here's something else that's important for you to know. The fastest way to attract riches into your life is through passion combined with alignment. But if you do what you're doing because you love to do it, there's no way that you can fail. Passion plus alignment equals power. A lot of people do things because, quote, it's a good way to make money. And that's always going to hold you back because it scatters your frequency. take a look at what you're really after. Do you want more time? Do you want more freedom? Is a big one for me. Money equals freedom for me, equals a lot of things for other people, but I don't like a lot of stuff. I'm not a stuff person. I could live out of the trunk of my car. I'd be perfectly happy. I don't like a lot of stuff, but I like freedom. I like to be able to come and go and do what I want, when I want, how I want. That's what money means to me. So I focus on freedom. Then the money just shows up. See, I don't like get the money to get the freedom. I used to do that. If I had a lot of money, then I'll be free. I said, well, why not just be free? Cut out the middleman, right? So I'm just free in my mind. I became free, and then the money just shows up at my doorstep. So what we're after always is the feeling.